Okay, let's go ahead and do blue on the color wheel. So let's pick out which blue we're going to use. Again, because we're not mixing it with anything, we can use any blue that we feel like is a real blue. So manganese blue, actually the manganese blue I have has manganese blue hue, so it's actually not manganese. Manganese is really expensive these days, so they don't really have it anymore. I think it's yeah, I haven't seen true manganese for a long time. This one's made out of phthalo to resemble it. But anyway, I feel like it's kind of a little bit green. Definitely green. Pretty darn close. Too dark. Too dark for me. Too dark and really, really a beautiful color, but dark and green. And then I think the mix of ultramarine and cobalt is really close. Remember again that these colors dry darker, so too dark, maybe too green, definitely too green, and nope for the cerulean. So I think that for our blue, I'm going to do probably 2 parts of cobalt, get my lids back on, and 1 part of ultramarine blue. Because I'm mixing the colors, I won't be able to put it back into my tube at the end. So hopefully I mixed enough. Because I am mixing it, I don't want to ever get rid of a little pile of this color if I need to rematch the color. So I'm going to take, and once I get it mixed up really well, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit and put it off to the side, just in case it starts to get bad things. Okay, so I did zinc white last time, so I'm going to stay with the zinc white so my color wheel is consistent. So I'm going to put some zinc white over there, and I'm going to go ahead and start my mixing. So take a little, maybe I'll take a good amount of zinc white and put it in there. And you know, that wasn't too much. I think that was almost perfect. So go ahead, I'm going to take some more of this blue, and I'm going to take a lot more zinc white and try to start a different pile. That looks like it might be my lightest one. Get it all off. And then we'll go ahead and try to find a middle one. All right. And a lighter one. And I feel those two are pretty close. So I'm going to steal some more of the light stuff. I'm finding that hair keeps coming back from the red. Now it's in the blue. Hopefully I've gotten rid of it completely. All right. And let's see how that looks as we smear a little bit of this closer. I feel like I could have a little bit more paint, and I feel like, so I'm going to steal a little bit from everybody down the line. So I have a little bit bigger of a pile. Depending upon what you are painting, you might want to make an even bigger pile. Because I'm just painting the Eaton wheel this time, I'm going to keep it pretty much at this amount. When I paint my snails or something else, I might need more. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mess everything up so that I can make it. And I've got this little pile of white over here, so that's good. Now I have more paint to work with. And that's looking pretty good. And then let's go ahead and get this last one. And I think that's a little big of a jump. So I'm going to steal a little bit from it. And let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Don't add too much water because it will dilute it and then it will go onto your paper kind of runny. So let's go ahead and get the shades. Put a little bit of groundwater down, and I've got my lamp black out still from the last mixing, and I'm going to go ahead, and it looks like I'm doing pretty good on the blue. I'm going to go ahead and bring some of that down, brought a lot of it down, and start mixing some in here. Woo, that went fast. That's a really dark one. So I'm going to put this over here as possibly my darkest. And then I'm going to go ahead and add whatever was on my palette knife and see if I can get that to go down. I'm going to smear this so I can see it. And I feel like I could go down a little bit further. So I'm going to steal some from my dark pile, not very much, and homogenize that really well. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to take this. Ooh, I might not have mixed enough paint. I'm going to steal that thing I told you not to do. And I'm going to go ahead and make this darker. And maybe a little bit darker. That might have been too much. I still have that blue wet here, so I'm not too worried about stealing that. And there. I feel like these are a pretty good size jump, so I'm going to steal, kind of like clean up the bottom and add that to it. And I think that works pretty well. So, what do you guys think? It's a little bit thin and it's a little bit less paint, so I'm going to go ahead and mix more of this up. So here I'm going to take about that much ultramarine blue, and I'm going to put in about twice the amount of cobalt, and I'm going to make sure everything's clean, no tints or shades on my palette knife, and I'm going to go ahead and mix these together. And I keep getting nerds around today, and so nerds are little like impurities that get in, like hair, and I think I had a piece of dried paint on there. Okay, before I use this, make sure it's homogenized really well. And I'm going to go ahead and take that little unadulterated stash, and I'm going to put it on it and say, you know, that's pretty much the same color. So I can go ahead, good, now I have a whole nother big stash. And I can go ahead and supplement whatever I need. Maybe I'll add more blue to here because this pile is really small. And I think that if I do that, I can almost go backwards. I can add that to here and make a bigger pile and see how big of a jump. So that's still a big jump, so I'm going to put all this together. Okay, and then look at this one. Add a little bit more paint to it. Ah, I added a lot of paint to it. Dang. So if you add a lot of paint to it and you get this pile here, I'm going to probably have to be throwing lots and lots of blue on here. So I'm going to go ahead and take that and just have a little bit on my palette and add blue to it. Or else I'm going to be adding so much to that and I'm going to have a big pile. So what I'm saying is, if your paint gets away from you and gets too dark, don't keep trying to add another color to it to make it right, because that big pile of paint that I had, if I keep adding blue, I probably have to squish out more blue or use that entire pile to get it down to where I want. Go ahead and scrap it, put it off the side, and have nothing on your palette when you start mixing that color again. I think I said that in a very, very confusing way. And when I look at it, I feel like these two are really similar, so I'm going to go ahead and put them together. And I'm going to, good thing I mixed up more paint, And I'm going to try to get one that's in between these two. Yeah, maybe just take that and mix it in. And here I wanted more paint, and I have more paint. So let's go ahead and say this one for our dark blue, or darkest shade of blue. And it should get pretty dark because blue's a pretty dark color. So let's add some of that back to these guys. And what do you think? So if I find a clean spot on my rag and get my palette knife nice, if I look at these and examining these, I feel like our mother blue, this could use a little bit more mother blue. I feel like that was a pretty big jump. And that's perfect. Have all that paint, mix it up. And I feel like that's a little bit of a big jump to that one. So I'm going to steal some of the paint from the surrounding area and make that a little bit slower. And then we go to this big pile. And I feel like this is a big jump too. And again, I don't want to mix that much paint. So I'm going to kind of tone it down a little bit. Put some of it off to the side. I can always grab it if I need it, like here. And I think that works pretty good. Okay, get this black out of the way. Wipe down my palette. And I have my scraper because I'm working on glass. It cleans up the glass really well. One of the advantages to having glass. Okay, so where is my wheel? We're going to go ahead and paint the blue on. So I like to kind of write on it where I'm going to put my color, because I have mistakenly put my color in a wrong spot and I had to cut the whole thing apart and redo it. So the middle is our mother blue right here. And you can see that the we're seeing the paper below. I don't want to be able to see the paper, so again I'll probably have to come through and do sorry, you guys couldn't see what I was doing. I'll probably have to come through and give it another coat after this dries, maybe when you guys are gone. So let's go ahead and get that on there. That's blue, is such a pretty color. And voila. And then I think I'm going to keep my my tint going to the inside. So let's go ahead and get the first tint. Tint means we're adding white to it, and it's getting lighter. Blue is a little tricky, I think. I'm not quite awake yet. That's a good amount of blue. I want to give a little bit more to the mother blue because I'm seeing a little bit of white underneath. I can also do when it's completely dry, which probably would be better. Okay, let's go ahead and find tint number 2 and put it on here. And I got a little spot there. Get rid of it. No spots. Spot was the name of my daughter's first dog. She named it. I didn't. But it was a good name for him. He was a border collie, and he looked like a little miniature cow because he was black and white. And he had a yin and yang spot, one on his right side that was black, and then his left side it was white with a black yin and yang sign. He was really cute. His name was Spot. Okay. Now we go into the shades, the shady part of the world. And here's the shade, first shade. Woohoo! So remember that acrylics dry darker. Oops, keep it out of the mother color. Acrylics dry darker. Watercolors pretty much stay the same. They might actually fade out a little bit when they dry. Gouaches pretty much stay the same. Oil painting, the most superior paint of all. I know I'm kind of biased. Oil painting stays the same, and my next one I think I will do as a oil wheel, so that you can see the difference between acrylics and oils, because the richness of oil is very rich. I hope I have this covered really well, because I don't want to have to come back and mix all that paint again. I mean, I will, because I do like mixing paint. But I will leave some on here in case I have to match it. Okay, shade number 2. Shade number 3, sorry. Correct me. I saw that pile over there and I was confused. I was thinking I was working on the wrong color, the wrong value. So if you're getting low in paint, because your brush kind of absorbs a lot, you can, and I have a lot of this left, but I'm going to do it anyway, you can paint with your palette knife. You can apply the paint because nothing gets absorbed into your palette knife. It's a little bit tricky when you get to that edge, and I just kind of squished it around a little bit more. I'm going to go back to the palette, to the brush, but you can apply it with your palette knife, and it won't absorb into the bristles, so you actually have just a little bit more paint at your beck and call. And I believe that gives us our blue. I'm going to go find any places that's a little thin. It's a little thin right here, so I'm going to go ahead and add this to it. Thicken it up a little bit. And there we have blue. Okay, I'll see you for yellow. Yellow's tricky.